What's up, everybody? My name is Alex, and I'm your host here on the Swole Friends podcast, as well as the co-founder and COO here at Swolverine. Swolverine is an endurance athlete and active lifestyle brand. We have over 33 different performance powders and daily health supplements that are all proprietary, blend-free, clinically dosed, and scientifically proven effective. We also offer one-on-one nutrition coaching, online personal training, and competitive fitness. So today, enough with that stuff. Today, I'm super excited and honored to be joined by Swolverine athlete Abigail Domit. Abby is headed to her second CrossFit Games appearance after closing out the West Semifinal with that gold around her neck in the first place position. She is headed to become potentially the fittest on earth. And so today we're going to just chat all things preparation and CrossFit Games and just kind of see. I think it's been almost a year since we recorded on the podcast. So kind of just catch up and see what's different. I feel like you've changed a lot this year in really amazing ways and had some big hurdles to overcome. So I don't know. Tell me all the things. What is life like for you right now?
Something me and my coach talk about all the time right now is just how just night and day this year is from last year in so many ways. I just feel like a completely different athlete, and the things that I'm experiencing and the things that I'm feeling and the depths that we're going to is just, it's all so new and it's exciting and there's still more. And so we're just discovering all these things. For example, there's things that I've never felt in certain workouts now, like the way your head starts feeling, or the way you feel like your face is gonna fall off. But it's you can go to those depths and then be like, oh, okay, yeah, we were able to go there and now we're fine. It's just so different. Everything about this season, when I look at even just going back to the Open, just the way everything has kind of gone together step by step, it makes me just feel so much faith and trust in just the way things are moving. And it gives me really good vibes about everything. Even the weather, this has been the weirdest summer because it keeps raining so much. What is happening in the world? But it's amazing.
You're big on vibes. You're a big, vibes are a big deal to you as a person. You'll take that energy and really harness it. And so it's kind of cool to hear you talk about that and really just lean into that, right? And how it's all kind of coming together to set up for you. And knowing trusting in your own wings, and having that confidence. And it's kind of funny because it's almost like you still have newbie gains. You know what I mean? Newbie gains for training. And you hear people talk about it, when they go to the gym for the first time ever and they're like, I PR everything all the time. And it's just amazing. Right. I mean, you're 2, 3, 4 years into this journey. Yeah. Is it 3 or 4 years?
4.
4. Yeah. So, I mean, you're still so young as an athlete, right? In the training world to be at the level that you're at. And so to believe in that and trust in your process. How has that process changed from last year's games prep to this year?
I feel like last year was okay, we made it. Let's go. Let's get the experience. And now it's more we're in it. We're in the mix. We got to go and we got to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's everybody gets their rookie year, where they can just, go, take it all in, get the mistakes out, do the things. But then once you do that, it's done. After that, you gotta grow, you gotta mature. Mm-hmm. So now we're at the point where we're all right, we're not new anymore. We gotta go and do the thing and show up. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go and just compete because it's so different. There's nothing that you can really compare it to. We were looking at obviously the Olympics is going on right now. Yeah. And it's as big of a deal as that is, it's they're still doing the same things that they practice, whereas we don't really know anything about anything that we're doing. And we're going next week. There's a couple, we know what the first event is, but other than that, we don't really know anything else. So it's just, it's such a strange thing to prepare for. And people are like, well, how do you get ready for that? How do you prepare for that? And it's like, well, there's elements that are going to happen, and you can guess as much as you can, and you can look at the history and all that. But it's just, there's nothing really else like it, like you're going and you're getting tested on all these different things, and it's all happening so quickly over the course of 4 days. And it's a very interesting thing to try to explain to someone the way you're going to feel and the emotions you're going to have when you're in it.
Do you feel like those nerves and those emotions are going to be like, how do you anticipate them being different as compared to when you stepped on the floor last year and then preparing? And like, at what event last year did you kind of like settle in? Or was there ever even a time where you settled in and were like, okay, like, calm down?
Last year, there wasn't really a time to settle in just because of like the cuts. Like I was always like on the cut line. So I feel like I was always like, but
screaming, running down the field.
Yeah, we're like, okay, like we have one more event until this, or like we have 2 events to like get to here, and then we're like here, then we're here, then we're here. So that was just like something that I just wasn't prepared for at all last year. So I was like, oh man, like because it moves so fast. Like once you're going, you're going. We're like, oh, okay, it's already like event 9 or whatever. And so, yeah, just like keeping up with like the pace of the weekend and how fast it goes. But that, like, as far as like cuts and stuff, that's something that I hopefully won't have to worry about as much this year. And just like keeping your head right, like just being totally neutral the whole time. Like, yeah, like if you have a win, like, celebrate for 5 minutes and then like bring it back down, or like, oh, if something goes wrong, like accept it, be upset about it, and then come back up. Like, because we got to keep moving because it's moving fast. You got to take everything you can. But yeah, what was the rest of the question?
I don't know. Such a good host. But I think you answered it. I mean, it's like up and down. You got to stay even keel. Just kind of talking about nerves this year versus last year. I mean, I think you answered the question well. Do you have like mantras? Do you have things like, what are your centering tools that you use to keep that kind of even line? Or are those like super Abby secrets and we don't want to tell her the world?
I mean, I don't even know if it's like anything special or like any secrets. Like something like, for me, part of the excitement is also getting, my cat's like, she's like running around the thing right now. Getting like like sometimes the nerves can be a little bit part of the excitement. But for me, something that I've always done is, if I like, some nerves are going to come no matter what. But whenever I feel it, I'd rather just like put it out there, like say it out loud, be like, yes, I'm nervous. I accept it. Let it go. And then I actually become less nervous.
Yeah.
Like for instance, at the beginning of the start of a competition or something. But that's like something that's just going to happen inevitably. But as far as like, I don't know, I feel like it's just something you prepare for so far in advance. Like not even just like in CrossFit, but just in like other parts of life. Like, cause I've always loved the performance aspect of CrossFit. Like for me, once I'm on the floor and we're about to go, then there's no nerves. They're just gone. They're not going to be there, when we start. But it's like, if there's going to be nerves, it's a little bit before that. Like maybe if it's like, okay, we need to start warming up in like 5 minutes. That's when it might be like, ooh, okay, we're going to start warming up. But then you start moving and then you're like, okay, yeah, everything's normal. But I feel like that's kind of the only time. I don't know. Because then once you're going, and it used to be worse, but I feel like the more experience I get, the more I'm just kind of like able to just get in my zone and be confident and own it and trust the process and trust myself, really.
Are you like one of the people who are like competition should be fun? Like competition's the fun time, or is it more like training's the fun, competition's the show? Like, you know how people have kind of different attitudes about that?
I mean, so for me, competition is like that's what we work for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the grind. I love to just train and grind, but it's like, it's all to go and show what you got, basically. Like, for me, the competition, like that's where we perform. That's where we do it. And so for me, that's like that's the best part. That's what makes everything else worth it, because that's like, this is awesome. And it's like, I love the adrenaline. I love the excitement. I love the rush. Yeah, I do it for the thrill, basically.
Well, it's almost kind of the development too of like, I think you as an athlete and making this a much more official. I got first place at semifinals. I'm here to show up. Like, I'm here to throw down. This is what I do full time. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of maybe too a mindset from, you know, someone who's like bottom half semifinals to like, now I'm here to show the world who I am. Right.
Yeah. Right. Because like that first year, it's like, okay, you got to like get in whatever way possible. That could be doing really well. That could be barely sneaking in. That could be middle of the pack. It's just like, you're going to take whatever you can get. And then after that, it's like, oh, we know we're going to go. Now let's like actually maximize and like get something out of this weekend that we could also learn from and take with us, and then use that going forward.
Definitely. Talk to us about what's changed physically for you. I mean, let's go year over year. I mean, like size, when we talked about, and I think this is always fun to talk about too, especially as women, but you know, when we talked last year on the podcast, we talked a lot about going from the modeling days to just gaining weight and whatever weight you can gain because you just needed to gain weight, right? And now it's like the shape and the size, and to keep up with that, to eat enough, to match training capacity, to not overtrain. What has changed that way, and where have you improved, and like what ways has that affected your performance?
So a big thing that I've noticed this year is I feel like my body and like my weight is finally started to like settle in. Whereas I'm not constantly like chasing like trying to get more. Like, yes, I still like to maintain, you still have to keep up with like all the food intake. But I noticed it's much easier this year. And like my weight isn't gonna drop all of a sudden, because it's like my body's like finally accepted that like this is like my homeostasis now, basically. Like I feel like in the beginning it was always like gain. And then like, okay, let's hold on to that. But then this whole year it's been like, this is who I am now. Like this is, and so it's much more just kind of my normal being. And I've never really, I don't know. I mean, just because for me, like my weight doesn't really fluctuate at all. If it does, it's maybe like a pound or two, maybe. And that's like more like depending on like my cycle and all that and stuff, like my menstrual cycle. But yeah, no, everything's like, it feels like it's just settled in. And I feel like I've also gained the skill of being able to stuff my face if I'm not like when I'm not hungry, which is something you gotta have to do this sport. And so it all just feels more normal. Like it's not really that much of a stressful thing anymore. I mean, the food thing is always like there, but it's not like, oh, I'm behind, or oh, this or that. I still weigh myself every day just to make sure that I am getting enough, and to be like, okay, I'm the same number again and again and again and again. And so, yeah.
I like it. How do you feel like as a very high level athlete? I mean, everyone's menstrual cycles are a little bit different,
Right.
But how have you harnessed yours to work in your favor across training? Because there's not a lot of days off. There's not, when you're doing this as a professional sport, it's not like, oh gosh, I have cramps, I'm going to stay home and just skip training, right? Or do you have those days, and does that get built in your program?
So it is definitely something that me and my coach, like, we communicate about it a lot to like be able to use it. Because for me, it's like the days before I start, for me, those are the worst mentally. Physically, they're like, okay, but like mentally, I'm like in the gutter. And, you know, I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, oh, because I'm about to start my period, of course. And then once I start, that day one is like all kind of physical. But like, we still got to train. It's just like the training might change to more like, I don't know, like sometimes we'll get like some decent lifting to usually start and then break into that. And then we'll get like some good, like grindy pieces and then some good, like aerobic stuff. And I don't know why that always feels good, like right when I start.
Yeah.
But it's definitely cool to use it because if we can like get to that, like, ovulation phase, because that's perfect for competition. That's like, let's do that. Let's figure out a way to like, if I need to go be around girls who are like on their period and then be like, okay, give me that so I can start early and then I'll be on this date by this date. Like, but it's like, you can only finagle that so much, like, because that's obviously, you would have to really be like, okay, like, let me do this and this. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, because it's definitely a thing that it does change, like certain, like you're gonna feel a little bit better during certain parts of your cycle than others. It's not the most significant, but it's like, it's that little difference for sure.
But I think that's important for people to hear. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like menstrual cycles are so difficult. Our gentlemen, I know you don't experience them, but the relatable thing for our guys is like, you guys are like this, like, and for audio listeners, it's just a straight line. Your hormones don't really fluctuate throughout a month or a training cycle or games prep or whatever else you're doing in life. Whereas like women, we go up and then we go down and we kind of go to the side and then we go up and down. And so it's, you know, it's a lot of regulation and a lot of intuitiveness into your emotions and where you're at mentally, and making sure that, you know, I know Coach Bryant, he's going to be working on keeping you as even keel as possible, mentally, emotionally, changing that physicality so that you maintain that confidence, you know. And if you guys haven't listened to the podcast with him, I got to sit down and talk with him a few weeks ago, and it was so fun. You know, he's so talented, so unique, takes such like a integrative, holistic approach to training, which is really fun. You know that.
Absolutely. He's really awesome.
Yeah.
He's so intricate and like attention to detail. And I mean, it's everything that I would have wanted in a coach. So I wouldn't.
Well, you've worked for them since the beginning, right? More or less.
Yeah. Like, so we started working together in November of 2022. And so I had met him at a training camp. And then I was just like, hey, like this upcoming season, I'm going to qualify for the games. So will you help me get there?
You guys don't know confidence is the spades there in her back pocket. It's so awesome. It's so good, you know. Do you you had Hiller follow you around, or I guess Hiller followed you around? I don't know if you wanted that or not, but it happened.
Yes. Yeah, he reached out. He just sent me a message. Hey, would you care if I came and followed you around for a day or two? And I was like,
yeah, but
sure, why not? And so, he just came. And he's like, oh, hey. And just
he's easy. He's easy to be with in person. He's just kind of like, he's always like this. You know, you're like, look at his face and there's the camera is always right there.
He comes, like, first I open the door and he's already got the camera, which I was expecting. And then after a few minutes, then he puts it down and he's like, okay, now we can like, hey, how are you? Like, and I was just like, but no, it was super fun. And it actually helped me a lot because that was kind of one of my last pushes before my coach got in town. So because he was here, he's here all of July and like through the games, but in June I was just alone. And so that was just so much, just a lot of capacity work and like just getting through it and just like physical capacity, but also mental, because it's going to be really long days and you just need to like figure out a way to train through them. And so that whenever Hiller came, it was like the last weekend before my coach got there. So it was just like that last push where I was just like, oh, man, like we got to, get through this. And so having somebody else there, it just makes it a little bit easier to be like, okay, let's get through this weekend. And then once my coach gets in town, then everything completely changes because the programming changes, but also your coach is watching you and they're talking to you and they're like coaching you. So it just changes things. And so having someone to get me through that last little bit was like, okay, this was perfect, because it would have just been hard to finish that last bit alone, because I was like, okay, let's get there. Let's do it.
Well, that's the grind, right? That's like the like dig deep, push hard. I mean, and I guess it's a lot of extra accountability to not only have someone there, but also have them recording you the whole time, where you're just like, okay, like, and it kind of goes back to that performance mindset, not stuck in the training kind of aspect of it, like the slog. But
yeah, like it just gives you a little bit of a boost, like just having a person there, let alone they're filming you, they're talking to you, and it just makes you find like little energy that you didn't know was there. And that's just another thing we even talk about in training. It's like, because your mind is always going to want to stop you before you actually can stop. You have so much more capabilities and you can keep going to depths that you just don't even realize. And that's something that we're trying to really break into this year and be like, yeah, like there's still more there. I just don't know it because I don't have the memories of it, because every single thing is like a new learning and a new memories that are forming as I'm becoming more fit and going deeper and deeper into that.
How cool is that? Ugh. The body's an amazing thing. It's really, and so is the mind. I mean, the mind, the body will go over, the mind takes it. And so that's pretty amazing.
Turn this off and go.
I like it. For you, you've had some hurdles this season. Not too many, but I think perception wise, right? Like you smacked yourself in the face. I'm just going to say it that way, because for anyone on social media sees your face bleeding with stitches, they'd be like, wow, I would, you know what I mean? Like not be able to push my mind where I need it to go. For you, it was just kind of like another day. It was just like, oh, today I've got to put the ER into my training and then I'll go back to training.
It was just like a bummer because I was feeling so good. And like we were lifting and I was like, man, I feel so powerful. Like, let's go. And then like, and it's like, oh man, okay, well, you're going to have to stop and, dial it back for a few days or a week or whatever. And that was another thing. Like my coach was like, he's like, you're looking too good. You needed something to slow you down because you didn't want to like feel too good too early.
Those vibes.
So I was like, go up and then bring it back down and then go back up later. So I don't know. That's just another thing this season that I'm like, everything's just been lining up. Everything's just been making sense. And I don't know. It's just, it's been really good. And things are, to me, things just make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like blazing your own trail, and really figuring out like what you're capable of and where you want to go and still having fun with it. I mean, you have such like a vibrant aura about you. You have, you know what I mean? You always do, but it's nice to see. I haven't seen you since January. And so it's like, I'm so excited to be like, yay, it's Abby. Like it's so silly, but I think, you guys go back and kind of watch the podcast from last year. I mean, you have just these really nice attitudes and perspectives and gratitude practices that you put into your training and your life and the way that you live. And I think it's really respectable. It's unique, but it's not like anyone else can't kind of adopt those things to have
right
and perspectives. You have a gratitude for your body and your surroundings and the people around you and who are rallying with you. And it's so exciting to watch you grow as an athlete. And I mean, what was it like to stand on the podium at the semifinal in first place? I mean,
like the moment that we realized that we were like, oh shoot, I think I did it. Like I think I had won. We were just like giggling and laughing, and we were just like what's going on? Like,
it's good. I mean, that's what it should be. It's so funny because it's like there's not a lot to say about it, but it's like that's the way it should be. Like it should. Everyone takes things really, really seriously and are like no fun. It's kind of but at the root of fitness and at the root of pushing the bounds of our bodies and our potentials, I mean, it should be a really enjoyable journey, right?
Yeah.
Ernie, a couple years back at Duality, Abigail helped our group figure out the worm. After that, we all became fans. You're a good dude, Abby.
Thank you. That's hilarious because I was literally just talking about this yesterday about that competition. Not that year, but because Duality, it was my first competition I ever did when I first started CrossFit. And I did it as a partner with Anton. And we got last place. And just like all the things that were happening. And like there was this part where we were just laughing so hard about it, where one partner has to hold this big block and the other has to do rounds of the workout, and then you switch. And like I was like screaming at the top of my lungs because I just didn't have a lot of strength to and I didn't know how to carry the thing all awkwardly, and like the way people were just like staring and like, oh my gosh, like are they gonna break up right now? Like and Anton like is like failing the reps, and like he's like trying to run to me to grab it, and like I don't know, that just like brought up like the whole memory, and like man. But I really loved competing after that, even though we got last. But
and they stayed together, and it's just
really got married.
Yeah, they got married. The rubber block. Oh,
yeah, that's what it was.
Sounds terrible. Oh my gosh. What are you looking forward to most? I mean, games are next week. 1 week from now. I mean, yeah, right? You start Thursday.
1 week from tomorrow, yeah. So many things. I'm excited for just the whole thing because I'm excited to like travel there. Like pack up everything and just like get there, check into our Airbnb, settle in. I'm excited for like do the pickup. I'm excited for the check-in, like, pick out what uniforms I want to wear. I'm excited to just like be in it. Like once it starts and it's like, we're going and we're like, okay, we're in it now. Like, it's just like 100 miles an hour from here. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing, I don't know. I'm excited to just see how things end up. I'm excited to just be like, have the moments that I can be like, okay, what are the things that I'm going to be proud of after this weekend? And think about that. Like, okay, where was a spot where I was like, okay, this was so tough and this is what I did. And that's something I'm proud of, like what are those moments going to be? Just because I know just like the programming as far as like, because I know Dave didn't really do it the past few years. And so I feel like it's kind of going back to like the roots and like more of just really trying to break us. Mm-hmm. Like he's like the intention is to like see how far we can go and like literally break us mentally and like more so mentally. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I'm just excited. Like I feel like it's just gonna be a suffer fest and it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna be fun.
Is there anyone that you're looking forward to competing with this year more so than other years? Or is it really just kind of like this is Abby's lane and we're just got the blinders on and we're just doing our thing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to like see everybody because that's mm-hmm. always fun. Like, because you only see everybody like a few times a year. Mm-hmm. And it's always like competitions, and it's cool because once you're at the games and everybody's like, we're all just like, we all made it, or like if you made it back, then it's like, hey, we made it back or something. And so I don't know, as far as like the actual competition, I'm totally wanting to be like, let's see what I can do, like let's really not take any single thing for granted, and every single workout matters. Every single event matters. You can't just like let one slide. You can't hold back at any point, because there's like the people at the top and then the middle and then the bottom, like it's just those precious little seconds that matter so much. And those are just like placements, So yeah, I don't want to end anything and then be like, man, I could have done better on that, or I could have gone faster there, or I held back there, or, so.
I definitely agree. EPM, every point matters. We like it.
Exactly.
Your husband says, to be fair on the okay, here. Is he in the other room? Where's he at?
He's at work.
I was like, bring him in. We'll have the comp recap together. To be fair on the duality comp, we only had learned CrossFit for a couple of months and we didn't even sign up for Scaled. Oh, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
That would.
Yeah, like one of the events was like max double unders, and like he didn't really have them. I had like just learned how to do them. Like, oh, no, it was so bad. We were a mess. But.
Okay, it's all right. Well, the last question I'll kind of ask you is your Swolverine supplements. How do they play into your training, and do they change when you go to competition? What does that kind of look like for our listeners who use their Swolverine products and want to be like Abby someday?
Yes. So they don't change a ton when I go to competition. The only difference would be like maybe a little bit more, like as far as like beta alanine and my creatine, like I might take like a little bit more during competition, especially beta alanine. But like greens and reds, that's going to be like once a day, first thing in the morning. Krill oil, that's going to be once a day. Like protein and carbs, that's usually like after a session. But in competition, depending how like the food is, I might slug them down a little bit more, like just to get like more macros in. And then with stuff like intra and branched chain amino acids, it depends. Like I'll always have that with me at competition, but I feel like in training, that's when I'm like really, really sweating and like going hard, that I'll actually need that a little bit more. Whereas at competition, I'll be like, I'll have like a serving, but it won't be the same as like, okay, I'm going to be much more dehydrated in training than I am in competition.
Definitely.
That makes sense. So like little changes, but not like, I don't know. I feel like it's all just kind of intuitive, like,
Do you nap between events? Like, do you sleep? Do you lay? Do you like go in a dark room? Are you hiding in the closet?
Don't go in the closet.
Nobody talk to her.
If there's like enough time, then I'll like lay down. I can never really nap. I'm not a great napper unless I'm like literally dying and I have tons of time, or I don't know. I'd have to be like sick to take a nap. I feel like if I have an event coming up, I don't think I would really fall asleep, but I would like lay down, and like if we have time to go back to Airbnb or hotel or whatever, then it's like, okay, maybe we could just put a little something on TV, just like some whatever silly show to just take your mind off and chill. And yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, Abby, I'm so excited for you. It's going to be so great.
I'm excited too.
Really proud of you. Thank you for coming on. You guys make sure to cheer her on. Go follow her on Instagram. Slide in the DMs, comment all weekend, especially at the games or leading up to it. She's super responsive, and so it's really fun to kind of have a little bit of that personal connection. And just, even at like the highest level, you still need to know that there's people there who are rallying with you, and those little comments where it's like, you go, or good luck, or whatever it is, like, don't underestimate that. She's not reading that and then taking it to heart. So make sure to go follow her. Follow the Swole Friends podcast. We go live like this every week with amazing people like Abby. And Abby, good luck to you. We will we'll catch up with you. Oh, yeah. What?
One more thing I'll mention now that you say that is like also the fact that we're like, because it is so close to home, like we're competing, like it's in Texas, it's in Fort Worth. That's like, 4.5, 5 hours away. I noticed there's so many people who I talk to like around town who are like, oh, I got my tickets. I'm going. And so there's just so many people I know that are going to be attending. And that just makes it even more exciting, because then it kind of feels like you're sort of on your home turf.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. And it gets me so excited. I'm like, oh man, but I don't know. I do feel like waves of support and it's incredible. So
It's so good. And you have your shirt. So you opened up the signups for the shirt again. So if you guys haven't gotten a shirt, you've got to do it by Friday and you're probably not going to get it before the games because you slacked. But
yeah.
So you have the link up. If the link isn't there, you guys can't find it, send her a DM. She'll send it to you. Get your shirt. It's pretty cool. Yeah, is that how people do it? Do they just click the link and then buy
just click the link, it'll take you straight there. Yeah. Because we had a date so that they would arrive in time for the games. And then I mean this always happens where people start getting them and then all of a sudden other people were like, oh, I wanted one. Da, da, da. And so then I talked to Rocky, who's the owner of Cambro, and he's like, hey, like let's just open up the link for a few more days. And we're like, okay, sure, why not? So, but yeah, if you want, go get one.
Perfect. Well, you guys make sure to follow Abby and we'll catch up with you next time. Abby, thank you again.
Thank you so much.